to the Columbus Civic Theater. My name is Ben Gorman, and I am on the board here and sometimes on the stage here, and I am responsible for the show you're going to see tonight, which means that if there's anything that you don't like, tell me about it. And if there's anything you do like, it's all the cast and crew that did it. So that's where all the accolades go. A few things before we get started this evening. I have my props, as I've been told here, and I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. First off, in the program, I'd like to point out a feature at the bottom of the cast list page, which is page 3, in tiny numbers. You'll see a logo for Wings of Hope America, which is a charitable organization here in Columbus serving the homeless. And last year, we began what we hope to keep a tradition of donating a portion of the proceeds from our ticket sales to this organization. We had our show last year was Second Shepherd's Play, some of you may have seen. And yes, there's a cast member from Second Shepherd's Play here in the house with us tonight.
Oh my goodness.
And that began our tradition, and we're carrying it on this year. $2 from the sale of every ticket goes to Wings of Hope America. A cast change, some of you may have an insert, most of you probably don't because we print our programs pretty much every night. We had a cast change due to an illness. We have lost the able abilities of Linda Browning, and her roles will be covered by our fabulously able-bodied stage manager, Sarah Gehring. Sarah has fit in nicely, knowing the show as well as she did, so she is in for Linda tonight. We have announced our season for next year, the 2012 season. You'll find these brochures out in the lobby. If you're curious to see what we're doing, there is this fabulous, a whole bunch of them out there. So at the intermission, feel free to grab one of these and check it out. I think we've got a pretty fabulous season lined up, and I hope you'll agree and you'll want to come and see any or all of these shows. To that end, we'd like to facilitate your return. As I said to someone here earlier, we like recidivism at this place. We are selling season passes. Here it just happened to have some out in the lobby. These are the example of our 5-show season passes. With these little lovelies for $75, you can pick the 5 of our 9 shows that you would like to see. We also sell an entire season pass for $99.99. Great stocking stuffers for gifts, just saying. If you're interested in what we're doing here at the Civic, we have a mailing list. You'll find these little cards out in the lobby, and you can fill these out. And if you'd like to volunteer, we'd love to have pairs of hands to help us with the many tasks that go into producing each show. So please consider filling this out and saying, hey, I want to volunteer, or just get on the mailing list and be apprised of events. If you like this show, we do have two performances left. So you can grab a card and take it to a place of work. It's got information on the back, and we'd love to have your friends enjoy it as much as you did. If you didn't like it, please take it and leave it with your enemies, because we'll take any warm body. I think that's about it. Cell phones off. And now please enjoy our adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Bah, humbug.
Marley was dead to begin with.
There is no doubt whatever about that.
The certificate of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner.
Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good for anything he chose to put his hand to.
Old Marley was as dead as a doornail.
Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail.
I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade.
But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and our unhallowed hand shall not disturb it, while the country's done for.
You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically, Old Marley was as dead as a doornail.
Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise?
Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years.
Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary legatee, his sole friend.
And sole mourner.
And even Scrooge was not so cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral.
There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story we're going to relate.
Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. No, there it stood above the warehouse door years after. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley, so...
People new to the business called Scrooge, or sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him.
No, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. Squeezing,
Wrenching,
Grasping,
Scraping, clutching,
covetous,
old sinner.
hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire.
secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster.
The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait,
Made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out in a screwing voice.
He carried his own low temperature always about with him, and he didn't thaw at 1 degree at Christmas.
Once upon a time,
Of all the good days of the year on Christmas Eve.
old Scrooge sat busy at his counting house.
It was cold, bleak, biting weather.
He could hear the people outside, beating their hands on their breasts and stamping their feet on the pavement stones to warm them.
The city clocks had only gone just 3, but it was quite dark already. Merry Christmas.